Total Defence Day falls on February the 15th this year, so Singapore is also celebrating 30 years of total defence with a series of special events. The theme this year is Because You Played a Part, and the main event is a 9-day exhibition held at the National Museum Singapore. There'll be interactive displays featuring stories of everyday Singaporeans. There's also a walking trail where you're taken back to 1942 to when Singapore fell to the Japanese.
Another highlight of this year's campaign is the Thank You Card movement. And as the name suggests, members of the public can pick up any of these cards at selected shops and cafes across Singapore and pen messages to those who've contributed to total defence.
So to tell us more about Total Defence Day this year is Colonel Roland Ng, Director of Nexus. It's a department within the Ministry of Defence which is responsible for total defence and national education. So Colonel, great to have you here. Let's go back to the start when Total Defence first started in 1984. Would you say the purpose hasn't changed? It's still to remind Singaporeans never to take things for granted?
Yes, as you said, the concept of total defence was launched in 1984. It was a framework to coordinate a comprehensive and integrated response by Singaporeans against all kinds of threats. Over the years, the concept actually has served us well. It has helped us to put up a coordinated efforts against many challenges. For example, last year, the haze, we saw many Singaporeans stepping up to help one another. This is a total defence in action, examples of total defence in action, carrying out the spirit of everybody playing a part. But beyond crisis and emergency, we think that total defence is also displayed in daily life. We see many Singaporeans from all walks of life executing total defence, and we have put their stories in our exhibition.
So the theme this year is Because You Play a Part. And how are you reaching out to the younger generation? Because a lot of them wouldn't actually have gone through World War II. They don't know that kind of hardship. But what have you seen from students who are involved in your campaign that have made you feel like there's hope for the future?
As part of the outreach effort, we organize an animation competition called Animation. It's in the 8th season this year. From many of the clips, we can see that the students actually understand the concept of total defense.
So
and
this is one of them, right?
Yes, that's right. It's just that the way that they express it is different. Okay. And we have to find ways for them to express it. For this year, the exhibition itself, we have curated a number of stories, real stories, in which students have played a part in total defense in their own ways. And what we want to do is that to put this up and let the students see them, let them see that yes, we acknowledge that these are actually their contribution to total defense, and hopefully encouraging more of this. In addition to that, we are also getting students to be volunteers in the exhibition for them to guide others. When you tell, actually you will internalize the message, and then later on you will be able to act. Other than this, we also have walking trails. We are also pushing out assembly shows to the school to engage the students.
Okay, and the exhibition has this interactive display featuring stories of everyday Singaporeans, and I heard you saying earlier it's real grandfather stories. What do you mean by that? Okay,
there are many stories that we are putting up at the exhibition. Basically, the whole concept is to use stories to let people understand the concept of total defense. What we are trying to do is to use story to bridge the gap. Total defense can be seen as a very big name, and then even if you go to the different pillars, it's still very big. But in the everyday life, actually people are already carrying out examples of total defense. So when we put these stories in the exhibition, and then when people see that, then there may be an aha moment. They say that, hey, that's what I do as well, and it's total defense. Oh, okay, so I can play a part, and then helping people to then continue to do something on their own. Or they can see a friend, doing certain things, and then show in the exhibition, and they say, this is actually an example of total defense. And for this year campaign, we are actually having a thank you card movement in which giving people opportunity to write messages of appreciation of how they have contributed in total defense, and then pass it to their friends. So with all this outreach effort, we hope that the message will then have a more extensive reach this year.
All right, thank you very much, Colonel. Great having you here today. And that was Colonel Roland Ng, and the exhibition, of course, is at the National Museum, and Total Defence Day is February the 15th.